Mm. The reason for meditation. You need to know the reason for meditation. There is one. Only one. There is one reason. Once you know this, you're done. Well, at least done with learning the reason for meditation or meditating. Then you practice the next highest form, contemplation. Meditation is just the beginning. Contemplation is just enlightenment utilized. And there are other forms. We will be focusing only on this first part, learning to listen till you hear your own true voice. That's the beginning. Form is contemplation. Both of these are the highest level in their own way. So let's stick with meditating. Let's stick with just meditating. To learn the highest expression of listening, so that contemplation can also be accomplished. This is a long one, and for fair warning, hang on for a bumpy ride. I recap along the way to assist with the hanging on part. Hang on till you remember who you are and hear your own true voice. Get comfortable, kick up your feet, recline in this space till it comes of its own accord into the empty place where you wait for it to reveal itself. Listen. You're learning how to listen, that's all. That's the only reason for meditation. This is a given. Never be told otherwise. Never pay for this information. It's common knowledge. Look for yourself. Insist that it is given up front, ahead of time, because the ability to listen is your birthright. It is free from other. You decide what it costs you. You pay it yourself to yourself. Be quiet. Now ask yourself, how quiet can I be? So sit, meditate, recall, meditation, it's not what you think. And, as it also turns out, it is something much more than what you could think. It's way more than thought. Even though you have thought about this a great deal, it is both bigger and better than your belief. It is beyond your imagination. There's no problem using the prospect of obtaining this power and knowledge as motivation, because the content remains. Regardless of form, regardless of motivation, the result the same regardless. Bonus perk. You get to get away with just about anything, but remember, you experience the effects of your own thoughts. Of course, consequences still happen. But you're the star. Everybody loves you. Forgiveness is always true, given ahead of time. 4. F-O-R-E. Forgive yourself and simply listen aloud. You really did a bang-up job. I know, me too. I allow that I did it all on purpose. If I know something, then I choose it. Not past tense. I choose it. That's a little advanced, shall we say. Let's stick to the beginning and listen. As an aside, it's the good stuff that makes it bumpy. It boggles the mind and unmoors you. You're learning how to fly, to soar the winds of your mind. How to ice skate across consciousness. See, now you're listening. And you're motivated. Good. Very good. But what are you listening for? No, really. Precisely. What? And why? What is the purpose of listening, of meditation? Admit it. You expect an answer. You're so silly. You admit you don't believe there will actually be a voice, but that is what you are attempting to make manifest. You're an alchemist. And you start with meditation. Be quiet. I tell you now, there is going to be an answer. It will be your own voice. And you will know it. You don't disappear. Ever. At least not the way you thought. Confirm this for yourself with your own voice. It's like Star Trek, but you are exploring inner space. To boldly go where none have gone before, because you haven't, and it's yours. Make it so. Engage. But how? I'm telling you. One of the ways. One way is accessed. The one reason for meditation. There is only one reason for meditation. It all boils down to deciding ahead of time. Don't do that. Nothing should be decided ahead of time or be pre-decided. This is the definition of true listening. This is what you focus on to get you spinning in your meditation. towards contemplation. Some call this pre-decided thing judgment. So there's that. Not so much of a bonus, though, is it? Because it means you have to let go of, well, everything, I guess. Do not tolerate judgment in yourself of anyone or anything. Of, I said, of anyone or anything in yourself. It's all ballast. It's what's holding you down. Recap. I have a feeling we're going to have to recap often. I apologize for this ahead of time. Perhaps there is something we can pre-decide after all. Your sovereignty. You decide. You meditate and learn how to listen because you're expecting to hear something. Something out of this world, yet still in your own mind. Is that clear? How clear that something can be or is the real point of contention. That's what you'd like to derive from our interaction, what you are open to being convinced of, but you'd like me to prove it to you. How clear? I am using your knowledge of the possibility that it could be proved to you as the proof you are looking for. This is the proof of its existence. You, your own mind, this is where we spend time. Now we need a recap, otherwise listening ceases. Open up. What we are actually asking is, why would you meditate? Why would anyone? Sure, there are practical benefits, but those are just bonuses, or perks, if you will. Expect perks like this from everything that comes from one reason. Insist upon it, but that's not the point. Don't let the perks become trappings. They are just motivators. Trinkets. You're trying to hear your own voice clearly. Don't get distracted by door prizes. So naturally, wouldn't you inquire, is there a most clearly voice, or a most clearly something that can be heard? Can it be found? This was one of the opening posits, or things to consider and spend time on. We're going to do this referencing back and forth a lot, so you may want to hear or reread this a few times. This particular opening posit was, how quiet can I be? Remember, we're meditating in order to listen. We want to know, how clearly can I hear my own voice? And we wish to find out, what do I need to do? Become, or simply be, in order to hear the best, assuming that there is a something that does exist that I will recognize as my own voice, like a conscience, for instance. Just consider it. Consider that something. That which is beyond being merely clear. How about a something that is so clear it's transparent, incomprehensibly present, and transparent, as real as you, and yet somehow more so? crazily so, like it's that forbidden fruit. That one forbidden fruit that we think to be that most dangerous thought, that one we believe will produce that most dangerous and undesirable of fruits. Permanent damnation or insanity. We know where and what it is. We just don't know if it's desirable. Who doesn't know what this thought is? Everyone knows what this thought is. Does God exist? And is that the something that it is possible for one to know? Is it? Isn't this dangerous thought all that we should think and talk about here? Meditation's focus is this. Consider this knowledge being accessible to you. What would that be like? Listen for this in your meditation. By the way, how is that meditation practice working for you right now? You know, one of the sub-reasons or perks of the talk about reason, about the reason you meditate, one of these perks, you know, is to be able to consult with yourself about yourself and to wonder what you think about what you're thinking. That's just a perk or a trapping. You get to decide. But it allows you to get your bearings. That's an example of a perk of meditation. Getting your bearings is a door prize, it's a trinket. So, how's that working for you? So you decide. It's a magnificent servant, but a terrible master. Don't worry, it doesn't go away. You thought it did. That's just another thing you were wrong about. Being wrong in that way happens a lot. Get used to it. You were actually limiting yourself. The conversation you just had with that last paragraph, I'm guessing it was complicated and heavy. And this paragraph's mental machinations aren't any better, are they? How come you know what I'm talking about? How about the perk called considering or thinking that you're currently having in your head regarding these words right now that you're reading, the word and the thought construction of reading? You're doing that existing thing that only we do. That is what we are. It is a gift. This is still true for me too. I think just like you do. We all think like this, but we are no longer alone. Come home. Welcome yourself to the real world. Consciousness. It is in your mind and it is just as real as anything else. You had just defined mind incorrectly, that's all. At least concede that much. It's perfectly reasonable to do so. You can find this consciousness anywhere. It is visceral. It is physical too. But see, that's a hard one to see from limited mind perspective. But at least consider it. Please pause here. Wait and stay here. Make your own argument for it instead of against it. Expect it to come to you. Expect to recognize and know it. Reason is oneness with the one something. Just consider it What is it like, assuming it is possible? It is not about how do I attain this. It is, I know that this something is true. How come I don't see it? Meditate on this. Allow the physical to be whatever it is that it needs to be, just for this moment. I mean, why not? You've gone this far. You might as well go full loco. Be one who allows the idea called dying to occur. Just like every other experience in your mind occurs, has occurred, will occur. Consider that this is now you. We originally thought that the physical must be false if the spiritual is true. That is false. Perhaps you need more than a moment with that. Spend your time here. Are you listening right now? That is called thinking. That is how we think now. Is now real like the past and future are real? Answer that one yourself. Is now at least as real as other times? Again, you decide. I can't decide for you, and I will not do so, even if I were able to do so. How real is now? Becomes the most fascinating concept and takes on a whole new meaning. Apply your meditation practice to this question. I want you now to see the way the ideas just presented to you were constructed and why they were constructed the way they were constructed. First, we introduced the idea that you have conversations in your head a few paragraphs ago, and that was the same concept of listening. Thinking, considering, and listening are done from the same place. And listening is the agreed upon purpose of meditation. Verify or confirm this for yourself. Keep your focus on the fact that you're considering listening from a place in your very own being to hear from a more complete you that is apparently waiting to be heard from. And this you has infinite patience. You decide. You have to. Everything is making everything decide for itself. That dynamic didn't go away, it got worse. Let's wallow here for a while. See nothing as being attached to itself, and you've got it. Let's retrace our steps regularly. We need to keep recapping. You're obviously not being tricked. You can't be. No one can force you to decide. I hope you're starting to see that ultimate truth and see that it's true for all of us, for everything. The mind is in mind as a concept. Don't identify as small mind. Everything has this property of self available to it. I know, dangerous thinking again, but maybe less so than you originally thought. Yes, mind is in the mind, but who made who? There is no where I is not, regardless of who made who. So you win either way. Just see it that way, believe it, and make it so. For example, you could consider that whichever one wins doesn't matter to I, and that's how you find it. I want you to know that one, that you win either way, that one needs to be a gimme. Yes, I agree. Become that selfish. Say, yeah, I'm that childish. I has to be guaranteed for me to accept it and to go home. And that's how you pick up your things and go home. You look around and realize you already have everything you need. I is guaranteed. That freedom just is. Just go. That's a bold statement. Challenge it. Make I prove you to you. Just consider it. Hold on to prove it. No matter what. I just exists. That judgment is what we are searching for. That guarantee is I. Who do you think provides phenomenology for you? Who do you think sees it? Stop wandering and searching, meditate on I, find I. You finish it by focusing on the fact that you're expecting an answer. You're expecting an answer so much that nothing in your mind is pre-decided. You are this freedom. This is not the wrong way to go. This is the right way to go. It's okay. Ask yourself if this is true. Is nothing pre-decided? Now listen to I. Just listen. Should we drop it now? The bomb, the heavy stuff. I isn't heavy. What you were holding was heavy. This is heavy stuff, man. Or the thought of, this is heavy stuff. They are the same thing. The ability to think does not go away. Thinking and manifestation are the same thing from I. Or perhaps you prefer phenomenology. Do you have any idea how much you exist? Know what your mere presence means. This physical world simply exists because that's what happens when you merely have a thought. Consider anything and then ask yourself what this I already knows and wants to tell you about you is how I now thinks. Thinking is right now. Including other people, including everything. That's what we mean when we say to ourselves, everything is one. You, my friend, are what insists on two. Give your 2 cents. Come on, that was cute. But the point remains, give up the idea of two-ness. Be a twin flame heart. You are certainly certainty and mystery at the same time, and that time is now. That is what we listen for. That's what listening is for. That's what you hope exists someday, until you realize which is to make real. To be what I is your choice. It does, by the way, exist. Now, right now, I exist right now. You're just not listening, which means you're not really thinking. This is thinking. Thinking the right way? No, there is no right way. That would be something pre-decided. Why would you think about pre-decided stuff? You already know that one. You figured it out. Nothing is pre-decided, so trust what I is. Great. I know that sounds crazy. I sounds like a crazy and hopeless proposition, but I is not. Or should I say no? You're not just more powerful, you are power. Just like the rest of us as I. If we go deeper, it gets bumpier. I blows your mind. Just know that you are but one thought in I, just like the rest of us. You are just like everyone else in this one way. Everyone else doesn't go away. You become one with them in this one way. They don't go away, and neither do you. You can know that I exist. I do. And you don't? That's my perspective. Prove me wrong. In this, I would love to be wrong. Who made who? No one told me, because nobody tells me this one thing. I already know. That's where we don't disagree. What you might say, you think I'm contradicting myself. No, you're missing the deeper meaning of my assertion. I'm not saying we agree to disagree. I'm not saying both are true. You say we can't know. But I know we can. I know both are false. You can't accept my assertion that I is true now, and that I know this now, I is true. What does can be true and non-existence even mean, if not the same thing, the same denial of what is? That's not mine, that's pre-decided by you. That's thinking the way we used to think of thinking. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's not going to be pretty, it never was. It's a lot like puberty, what a mess. You can always come back and try it again, end it, or face it. Tough choice, eh? That Scylla and Charybdis, you're caught between. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You can't end it. You can only think you can end it. You're going to let go eventually, once you're aware I is a possibility, and I suspect you're due, so that's why I don't contradict myself. So possibilities are not accomplishments, and you are listening. You remember this was all about meditation. You are listening so that you can accomplish I. When I meditate and listen, I learn about my thinking. I know it's possible to not know, like you. I know this personally. I am aware of everything else that is pre-decided, or better yet, doesn't know that it is I. I know anything is possible. I didn't pre-decide that one either, and I is not going to. You're too heavy, and man oh man, when you start putting down that heavy stuff, you realize how heavy you truly are and how light I is. You may pick up a U anytime you want. A U is available anytime you want. A U is a perk. I is unlimited and allows all things to occur. Even death is allowed to occur for I. Death has no meaning to I. It is just another experience for I. Not to go off on a tangent, but we just said manifestation is there too, to be something that is picked up. It's a perk. Enjoy it, whatever it is. Quick reminder, my tangents are parabolic, double meaning intended. They come back around and they're in story form. I have nothing to hide. I supposedly have nothing according to you. Remember, another thing you pre-decided. You insist that I am the predecided, not you, and that the predecided have nothing. You are so profoundly incorrect in your assessment, and I is going to keep bringing it up because you are wrong, and that should make you happy. Bummer for you, puberty is not pretty for you, for anyone, but it is beautiful to I. Finally, a voice of your own proved you were wrong. I is your voice. Be grateful for that. Meditate on that. Yes, you are being chastised by I. You have a thick skull, and it will become your asset. It has to be like this. I am sorry. It sounds like total BS. I know. You don't need me. My work here is done. I am on the other side. Yes, already. That's what you need to figure out on your own how to do. And if you have, you're laughing with us, because that's all we do. But it brings us to the best, same point we were on before this tangent, and come back around. Manifestation is something to be picked up or laid aside, and we're like, manifestation laid aside? Whoa. Hold on a second. Just let go of life and the world and reality? This is always the focus and objection. I said it didn't go away though, so chill. And by the way, why didn't you think of the other side of that coin, that thought? And notice nobody has a problem with the other point, but also doesn't want to talk about it, which brings up the other point. We're still working on the you can know I and you can't know I. Agreed, I don't know either. You can have them both. The other point to consider is knowing. Knowing is the shiznit of all shiznits, and you doesn't know I. Do you see the circle you keeps going in? Do you see why you need to keep recapping yet? I is all for recapping. You are not. You is stuck. I can go anywhere. You can see this and go insane. But not all yous go insane. Predecide this. Predecide that you already are I, and that is what is predecided. That way you can't change your mind. What? Your final objection is we don't want to trust. Point to yourself. We don't want to trust this guy, if you know what I mean. Yes, I already does know what you mean, and I already does trust you. Meditate and listen for this. Those with ears to hear, you've heard that, right? With true mind in the heart, hear I. Do you wish to object still? No thank you for this guy, or girl, or person, or they, them, or whatever. Is that what you would say? Who is this guy anyway? This guy, this one, is still right here, by the way. Freer than you ever imagined. This one is not predecided. This one decides for itself. Still, this is what makes I true. I know. I can't or can. No, I are both wrong. As in having and not having arise together and are the 10,000 things that rise and fall without cease, as the Tao says. You have to be. It's the only thing predecided that isn't decided upon at some other time. At any time we keep and have I in the dark, and you can visit I anytime you want. I know this. Why doesn't you? I really wants to know this. I wants it like you couldn't imagine. I will not pre-decide that. I loves you too much for that. Because I knows. I waits for you to claim I for yourself. Don't just decide for you or some of you, this or that. You must decide for everything, which includes you. There is nothing pre-decided in I but this. Nothing is testing you? Or is it that you are testing nothing? I is not nothing, I is everything. Be quiet and listen to I. That is the reason for meditation.